morning Year 9s, I'm here today to talk to you about how languages work in GCSE. So it's going to be quite similar to what you've done in Key Stage 3 already. You will all have to carry on doing the languages started in Year 7. The exam board we use is Edexcel, and all related to the exam board is in the options booklet you received in December. And just an overview, quick overview, it's all full examination, so there's not going to be coursework. And of course you will be doing the 4 different papers that we usually do in Key Stage 3. So it's a bit of a continuation, but quite similar to what you do already in Key Stage 3. Okay, so learning a different language, we think that provides an opening to other cultures and places, and learning that in the classroom, we're hoping that we're encouraging or fostering your independence, curiosity, and different skills as well that you can acquire by learning the language. And by the end of the GCSE, you should be able to express your ideas and your opinions, and also to respond and understand others in the target language, in this case French or Spanish. Okay, so in GCSE, both in French and Spanish, we study 5 themes. The first one is identity and culture, and this is all about talking about yourself, and of course learning more about the culture in Spanish and French speaking countries is so good, because in GCSE we have more time to deepen your understanding on that culture, which is the main purpose of learning a language, as I said earlier. So that's theme 1, talking about yourself, talking about your families, your friends. Then theme 2 is talking about your local area, so your towns and how your town has changed over time. Holidays, which is usually the most topical or most normal topic to talk about in other languages, and because it's so relevant. Okay, so you'll talk about holidays, but also about traveling arrangements, which could come very useful in the future, not just for work, but when you want to go and book a hotel or complain about your room in Spain or France or any other Spanish or French speaking countries. Third theme is the school. We have done so much about school, so of course preferences on subjects and why, again giving your opinions and reasons, a lot about that, but also giving your opinion about wearing a uniform, so there could be a little bit more of a debate, as well as also getting an insight of what the Spanish and French education systems are like. So it's quite interesting because you get to compare what school is like in Spain and in England, or in France and in England. So it's quite interesting, that theme. Theme 4 is all about future aspirations, and I know you're currently doing in French work, and in Spanish you've just finished the world of work as well, so it's going to be very relevant for GCSE. We will carry on working about what you would like to do in the future, but not just related to work, about future plans in general. And the last theme, but not least, is international and global dimensions. That entails loads of things, from environment and recycling to international music festivals, international sport events such as the Olympics, and festivals in general in France and Spain. And we do focus especially in those 2 countries, but we do touch a little bit also on other festivals around the world. So it's quite fun. The themes that we have covered, we covered in GCSE, is basically what you've done in Key Stage 3, but adding a little bit more of the cultural insight and more complexity, of course. So what I would say is, all the vocabulary and grammar you have learned in Key Stage 3, you need to master it this year. Okay, so because it's going to get hard. Okay, so exam breakdown. So as I said earlier, it's all 100% exams, not coursework, and we will do, or you will do, the 4 different papers that you usually do in Key Stage 3. The first paper is listening exam, followed by a speaking exam. The speaking exam could be quite daunting, but we do practice a lot in lessons. Okay, and we will have loads of mocks throughout the 2 years that you feel confident to talk for 12 minutes in front of your teacher. Okay, this is the only paper that is conducted by your teacher, but it will be then recorded and sent off to Edexcel for them to mark it. Okay, the third paper is the reading paper. Again, you will have loads of text and you have to understand them and then complete some task, which could be multiple choice or answering sentences like you do already in Year 9. And the last one is the writing paper. Okay, both in the reading and in the writing there will be a small passage to translate. In the reading, the translation is English, sorry, I got it wrong, French and Spanish into English, And then the one in the writing is English into the target language. Okay, but again, we've been practicing a lot in Key Stage 3, so there should not be really any surprises. The difference here, and something that I need to point out, is that there will be foundation and higher tiers. So these will be based on a decision made between you and me and your parents, okay, to see which one's more suitable for you. Just need to consider foundation caps you at 5, at grade 5, so we do encourage always to do the higher. But of course, if we think that you're going to benefit from doing the foundation, we will have that conversation later on in GCSE. It doesn't need to be a decision taken in year 10. Okay, so don't worry if at the start we say, oh, let's work on the foundation first, and then I change my mind and I say, I think you're doing pretty well and you are going to end up doing higher. Okay, the decision doesn't need to be done until not the end of year 11, but in year 11. Okay, why is the subject relevant? I know many students will be like, why a language is relevant if I know English? And loads of the world's population can speak English. We just need to consider that although many people can speak English, 94% or over 94% in the world do not speak English as the first language. Okay, and it's so nice when somebody speaks to you in your own language, especially when they come and visit your country. Okay, you're going to be treated so much better. If you are in business, you're probably going to sell more of your business if you do try to speak their language. So that would be one of my reasons. And of course, related to the business world, 60%, and this I think is not up to date, I think over 60% of UK trade now is done with non-English speaking countries. So again, if you want to sell something, and most companies nowadays work internationally, you will need to know a different language. Okay, and I know it's only Spanish or French, but we're quite lucky because Spanish and French are spoken in many different countries around the world. Then post-Brexit, I know it's already happened, language skills have been already in increasing demand. And the reason for that, one of the main reasons, is because UK or employers in the UK cannot really rely on that easiness of hiring citizens from the European Union anymore, because they might have to pay some extra visas or some extra paperwork. Okay, it's not going to be that easy to hire people from the European Union. So that's why they're relying more on British people or people who live here learning different languages and, of course, hiring them. Okay, then universities, something that many people forget. Top universities in the UK require GCSE languages. That's why here at Chelsea High we give so much importance, and that's why we make the EBAC, and you do the EBAC, and part of it is to complete a language at GCSE, because top universities require you to do one. One of the examples is UCL, University College London. If you don't have a grade 5 in GCSE languages, you will have to do another course before you can join them. Okay, so that is not the only case, there are many more. And further opportunities, the typical one to talk about is traveling. Okay, of course it's going to come useful, but there are many other things. A year abroad at university, if you do languages, you will have a year abroad. We still don't know what's happening with Erasmus because of Brexit. That's just when you spend a year abroad and you get a bit of help from the government. Okay, but there will still be an opportunity to spend a year abroad. Okay, and it's amazing. It's the best experience anyone could have. Seriously, anyone that I've spoken to, and I know your languages teachers, they've all done at least a year abroad, and it was the best year of our lives. Okay, so I do encourage all of you, if you can, to take on that opportunity. Then you can specialize at university with a different language. So you could decide to do law, but do it with French, or do it with Spanish, and of course that's going to be better for you when you're looking for a job or for competition. And the last one is just, I wanted to say, you might not like Spanish or French, but learning language will make it much, much, much easier to learn a different language in the future. Okay, so don't close your barriers, please. Even if you don't like that language that much, try to give it a go, because you never know when you're going to need it. What careers could languages lead to? The typical one to talk about is teaching, of course, becoming a language teacher, or translator, or being a translator or an interpreter, maybe in parliament or things like that. But there are many more. Media. Think about journalists. so many journalists need the languages to then report news in different countries, not just those who are in the country reporting the news from that place, but those in the UK that have to report news. Okay, so for example, if they have to talk about what's happening in Argentina, if they don't know Spanish, I think that news is going to be a bit not completely accurate, because they're not going to understand everything from those news in the target language. So media is a big one. Public relations, finance, banking, tourism, of course, if you want to be a guide or just work in a hotel, they really seek for languages. Consulting or working for a charity, for example, internationally, you might need languages as well. And just for any business that trades internationally, which nowadays, to be honest, in this globalized world, is most businesses. Finally, 5 top tips before embarking in the languages for GCSE. Okay, I'm not going to say 5 questions to ask yourself, because I know you all have to do it, but 5 tips that I hope you take on. First one, growth mindset. Take the I can attitude. Okay, and try to do that from now in year 9, please. Okay, I remember when I first started learning English, that was many years ago, in primary school towards the end, and it was my worst subject. And the reason why it was my worst subject is because first, it was all completely different to my language, and I did find it really hard, but my attitude was I can't, and I would give up, especially in listenings. I know I've told some of my students that already, but try to change that, because you can, everyone can learn a language, okay, but you need to try again. You will make lots of mistakes, you will get it wrong many times, but you just have to keep trying. Okay, that's my top tip. Second one, as I said earlier, master your key stage 3 vocabulary and grammar, okay, because it's only going to get harder. Okay, so all of that vocabulary that we learned in year 7, go back to it. There's nothing wrong going back to basics, going back to numbers, days of the week, because in year 10, we're not going to start explaining all of that. Okay, it's going to get harder. We're going to make sure that you already know that, and we're going to elevate it a little bit more. And third one, make sure, if you haven't already, you find the right strategy that works for you for each skill. So many of you, I know you go over the vocabulary, just go over it. That's not going to be enough to then recall that vocabulary in an exam. So find, I don't know, flashcards or what strategy works for you for each skill, because for listening it might be different. Okay, make sure you do it now in year 9. So you're secure already in year 10, you know what you need to do for each skill. Be curious, finally. Don't forget to ask questions. If you have doubts because the teacher explains something and suddenly you're questioning why suddenly this is different, ask. We want resilient and curious students, okay, and we will really appreciate it if you ask us. And finally, be resilient. Okay, those are my 5 top tips. And now you're going to see on the slides just some feedback from my past students, and that is from 6th form. Of course, that's going to be from a different school. I want you to have a look, okay? One of them, I'm going to tell you the story because it's quite interesting. The first feedback, who was in A-level completing Spanish with me, started GCSE in a bottom set, okay, with Mr. Howe. Just so you know, he started with Mr. Howe. Mr. Howe did an amazing job, but ultimately the good work was done to him. He ended up having a grade 7 in GCSE, taking it for A-level, and he achieved an A in A-level Spanish, and he's currently studying Spanish at university with a different language as well. Okay, he was amazing. I could have a normal fluent conversation, and if you speak to Mr. Howe, you'll see that he wasn't the very studious student or very interested student, but he started to change his attitude, the I can attitude, and he achieved so much. Okay, so if he could, you can do it as well. And then the second one is from the French side, again, talking a lot about the exchange. We're hoping that we can offer this, but I cannot guarantee yet that you're going to have that opportunity next year. Okay, of course, for obvious reasons, the pandemic, but we're going to try to offer an exchange trip, which will open so many doors for you in the future as well. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please don't worry, don't hesitate, contact me. Again, I will try to answer them all. Thank you.